So my name is Doug Martins, and I'm a rehabilitation teacher with the State Office for the Blind and Visually Impaired. I've been with that office for quite a while. Let's see, 2012. I'm sorry, 2008. So 14 years. I have
Ooh.
been myself visually impaired for quite a long time
Okay.
due to an accident when I was young. So
Mm-hmm.
I have the opportunity to work with people who are experiencing vision loss, but also coming from my own personal experiences. Kind of nice. I know kind of what I'm talking about when I work with people.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
sure.
So then I'll let Miss Samuel take it over from there. I did my part. Now it's Miss Samuel's part.
Okay.
All right. Hello, everyone. And again, everybody introduce themselves. So, Doug, on behalf of People Across Wisconsin, thank you for coming today. Please proceed.
Okay. So this won't take real long. Now, like I said, I work for the State Office for the Blind and Visually Impaired. Just get my notes here. So what the Office for the Blind and Visually Impaired does is we try to help individuals with vision loss, blind or low vision, stay as independent and safe in their homes as they want. We're very much goal driven, so we do an assessment and work with people and try to find out what aspects of their life have become difficult because of their eyesight and what they would like to be able to do. So with that in mind, then we work on those goals and try to help people, achieve their best life, if you want to say. So our staff are regionally based. So we have offices around the state, and we all serve territories. So I have 5 counties. I work Fond du Lac, Dodge, Jefferson, Waukesha, and Walworth counties. We have other staff, like I said, stationed around the state, but we do have people who serve every county in the state of Wisconsin. One thing that's nice about us is that we visit people right in their homes. So we don't require that people need to drive to come to an office or anything like that. We go out to the home and we sit down right with the person at their kitchen table and look at their stack of mail that might be on the on the table that they're having trouble reading, or appliances that they have hard time seeing the buttons, on their microwave. So we get to work with them right in their house, which is kind of nice. It's a lot easier for us to do our work face to face in the environment of the person who is having some vision problems. Another thing we do is we do conduct group trainings. So with the group training, we will oftentimes get together with support groups once in a while, or just groups of individuals to try to do um, more efficient training by talking with groups of people as opposed to just one-on-one. So we try to teach technology and adaptive coping skills. Losing your vision, it can be very difficult. A lot of the people that I work with, or that my coworkers and I work with, are older. Most of our consumers are, in their 80s. A lot of them have vision loss because of some age-related eye disease. So we need to teach them how they can continue to live their life without good vision anymore. And sometimes that just requires thinking a little differently about how you do things. For example, rather than reading a book with your eyes by sight, maybe they have to adjust their thinking a little bit and get used to the idea of listening to audiobooks, things like that. Um, using their fingers, your sense of touch to feel things as opposed to having to see them. So teaching people just those skills that they need to try to continue to live while their vision changes. We also look at technology. So technologies, simple things like a simple signature guide that is a piece of plastic about the size of a credit card with a rectangle cut out of it. And by putting that down on a piece of paper where someone has to sign their name, if they put the pen inside that little cutout, they know they're in the right spot. So that's a very low tech piece of assistive technology that a person can use to help sign their name. And then there are, of course, more advanced things like cell phones and computers that we can help people use as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we like to do first, for many people, when their eyesight is getting worse, it's important for them. They want to know if there are ways they can still see maybe a little bit better. So we look at things like lighting. Is there enough lighting in the home so that you can see well enough to be safe moving from room to room? Using good lighting when they're trying to do tasks like cooking or doing their paperwork, writing out bills, things like that. Having adequate lighting, desk lamps, flashlights, things like that. And then we also look at magnifying glasses, magnification. Many times, if a person still has some vision that they can still use, if you get things larger as opposed to tiny print that's hard to read, if you make things a little bigger, it'll often make it easier for them to see. So it's never as good as having perfect 20/20 vision, but sometimes a magnifying glass might be just what somebody needs, so they can still read their mail, look at photos and things like that. And then we look at another area we look at might be marking and labeling. All right, when you can't see well, how do you identify things, or how do you know what things are? For example, appliances. A very simple thing that we might do is put something that a person can feel on some important buttons of the microwave. Like if they need to find a certain button on their microwave, we might put a little raised bump or a piece of Velcro or tape or something that they can feel to help them do that. Teach them strategies for identifying their clothing by touch, or organizing things in a certain way so you always know where you find things. Keep your medication where it needs to be so that you know that your morning medication is over here, and the nighttime or bedtime medications is over here, things like that. We also look at communications as an important part of life activities. So how are people going to be able to deal with information? So we might look at large print, okay? Using a marker like a Sharpie marker to write out a shopping list that they can read just by having large print. Large telephone numbers, so for their friends, if we write that out in big letters and numbers, maybe they can see that and still be able to read it. And for some people, when their vision gets really bad, maybe they want to think about Braille. It's not for everybody. A lot of the people, like I said, that I work with are older, and they don't really have a desire to learn Braille, but it is an option that people can learn, and that's a way to be able to write down information and then read it back again. And we look at phones. That's a big communication device, right? A phone. So again, large print, so phones with big buttons on them that somebody might be able to see. Or maybe we'll teach them how to touch dial, where they just, if you can find the number 5 on a phone, you know that the 1, 2, and the 3 are up above, and the 4 and the 6 are next to it. So we might teach them how to do that. And we'll look at cell phones. Cell phones are pretty popular. But if you can't see the screen on a smartphone, a cell phone, is there a way to make the print bigger, to make the contrast a little bit better so it's easier to read? Or is there a way to use speech, like Siri and the OK Google type stuff, that somebody can maybe use their voice and interact with their phone just by giving it voice commands to dial somebody and things like that. Sometimes we'll look at computers, all right? So Macintosh computers and Windows-based computers have some features built right into them so that you can enlarge things on the screen, again, making them bigger and easier to see. turn on some speech so that the computer, now my computer, I'm looking at the screen talking to you, but I've got a computer next to me on my left that as I press the arrow key, it's reading me bullet points, things I wanted to remember to tell you today. So having that computer be able to talk to me, that's the way I usually use a computer, because I don't see really well enough to use anything with large print and things like that. I need to have it spoken to me. But those are things we can teach people. Again, it's there, but if somebody doesn't know how to access that or turn those features on, then they're going to struggle. So our goal is to help you, be able to continue to do what you need to do. Another technology that's become very popular are like the smart speakers. So the Amazon Alexa units and the Google Home, things like that are really, really powerful tools, especially for somebody who doesn't see well. I don't want to say the name because I have one in this room, and if I say her name, she's going to think I'm talking to her. But anyway, you could say something like, so-and-so set a timer for so many minutes, if you're timing a pizza in the oven or something like that. Or you can say, so-and-so, what is the weather forecast? What is the score of the Bucks game? All that good stuff that a person can get information just with their voice. Controlling your home, so-and-so, turn on the living room lights or adjust the thermostat to a certain temperature. So those are becoming really, really powerful tools for people with vision loss, just as a way to get information and get things done. So another thing that I work with people and talk about is safely moving around. So one thing we might do is talk about getting a white cane. So you may be familiar with the long white cane with a little bit of red on the tip that a person who is blind or visually impaired might use, where they hold it out in front of them and then they tap it and they go left and right. And the idea with that is, if you can't see enough to see that there's something that you might trip on as you're walking, by having that cane out in front and kind of scanning left and right with the cane, that will bump into something before I do, for example. So if I'm moving through a room and that cane bumps into a wall, I know that it's time for me to turn or adjust my path rather than, walking into that wall. Or if it hits a chair, I know there's something in my way that I can go around. So that's something that I work with people. Some people do want a white cane. Others are not quite ready for it yet, but it's always an option. And it's a way for them to be safe and independent with respect to moving around. And also service animals, guide dogs, seeing eye dogs are very handy. I have one. She's 13 years old and she's retired now, but she was a very useful companion and helper for me. If you imagine a dog has a brain as opposed to just that white cane. So some things like, say, walking across a very wide street, if you are using a cane, it's still possible to maybe veer a little bit to the left or to the right and miss the corner that you're trying to get to, because that street is so wide, you might, end up walking into the oncoming traffic. But with a dog, with a seeing eye dog, they know that you're trying to get across the street to the next corner, and the dog will take that person directly to the corner. So they're very powerful. Now, of course, dogs are a little bit of work. You have to take them out, rain, snow, all of that. You have to take them outside, let them get their exercise. You got to take them to the vet and feed them. But they can be very valuable mobility aids and really good helpers. So that's something that we talk about as well. And finally, when I work with people, I also want to make sure they are aware of other resources that they can take advantage of. Now, one of them I kind of mentioned about talking books or audiobooks. When you don't see well enough to still read printed material, there's a free service that the library service, the Library of Congress has, where people can obtain books and magazines that are recorded. And it doesn't cost anything. It all comes through the mail. Postage is taken care of. So you don't have to worry about stamps and all that other stuff. It's quite easy to use. And so you can get that and you can still enjoy reading books and, adventure stories or whatever type of books you like, even though you can't sight read them anymore with your eyes. You can listen to books and magazines. So that's a good resource that I connect people with. And then in Wisconsin, we have offices around the state in various counties, the Aging Disability Resource Centers. You might be aware of them. So my office, the Office for the Blind, my staff and me, we do not do long-term care. So we meet with people and we try to identify some goals, teach them what they need to do or how they can adapt, but then we move on. So if somebody needs long-term care, if they need someone to come into their house a couple times a week and help with shopping and cleaning, things like that, the Aging Disability Resource Center might be able to help them find resources like that. So that's a good resource for people in addition to my office, if they need more of a supportive long-term care type help. Also, DVR, Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. Somebody might be losing their vision, but they still want to work. So maybe they need to go back to school and get some more training or different job skills. So referring people to the Department of or Division of Vocational Rehabilitation is something that I might help somebody with so that they can, look at options for working and making money. And then there are a couple nonprofit organizations in the state. One is in Milwaukee. It's called Vision Forward Association. They're a nonprofit group. They've got a store. They deal specifically with people with vision loss. So they've got a website and a newsletter and a store where people can go and they can buy things like those little bumps that you might put on a microwave or a magnifying glass, things like that. And then there's another one similar to that in Madison. It's called the Wisconsin Council of the Blind. Now remember, I work for the Office for the Blind. I'm a state employee. But the Wisconsin Council of the Blind is a nonprofit group in Madison, and they have a newsletter and a website and a store, just like Vision Forward does. So there's some real good resources for people to, kind of get in touch with others who have vision loss, look at different adaptive aids, buy things, and I think it's nice to support organizations like that. So the last thing I kind of want to cover, like I said, I didn't think this would take real long. We'll have some time for questions. If you or someone you know has a need for services that I provide or that my office provides, we look at how your vision is affecting your life and that your ability to function. So you don't have to have a doctor's diagnosis that says you're legally blind. That's something separate. If a person is just, if a person is having some trouble, like I said, just because their eyesight is getting worse, so they can't read their mail anymore, or they can't easily use their microwave and their stove, they don't have to be, like I said, considered blind or legally blind. Just because you're having trouble with your eyes and being able to do things, that's good enough for us. So that's all it takes to qualify, if you will. We are not salespeople. We work for the state, so we're not there to try to sell anybody things. All of our services are free. We're just there to try to help people find ways and how to do things differently, or maybe get some different adaptive aids that might make their life a little more simple. So we do have a website. Yep. So, and our website is dhs.wisconsin.gov/blind. So it was dhs.wisconsin.gov/blind. And there we have all of our resources, contact information for my coworkers around the state. so you can find the person in your area. We also have a phone number that you can use to leave a message. It's not manned by a person, so you do have to leave a message, but somebody will check it and then forward your message on to the appropriate person in the area where you live. So that phone number is 888-879-0017. So again, 888-879-0017. So like I said, it's very easy to get in touch with us. You can pass that information along, if you know somebody and who's looking for some services because their eyesight is changing. Just give them our contact information. They can reach out and the person will call them and make an appointment to do an assessment and see where we can help. So that's mostly what we do working for the Office for the Blind now. If anybody has any questions, it would be a good time to ask.
Doug, this is Ramsey. I have a question. You said that you look at cell phones. Okay, what my cell phone quit on me because they had to cut it off the network because of the new 5G stuff. What kind of cell phones do you recommend for somebody that can't use a flip phone very well? Is there other cell phones that are not flip phones?
Okay, I know what you're saying. Yeah, now that cell phone technology is changing, some of the older phones aren't going to be supported anymore. So my specialty is for people who have vision loss or who are blind and have difficulty seeing the phone.
Yeah,
And I don't want to try to sound like a salesperson, but the Apple products, so the iPhone, and not necessarily the latest and greatest, the one that's coming out this year, but even an iPhone as old as an iPhone 8 or a 10, those phones are very accessible. And the reason for that is Apple as a company a long time ago decided to follow a standard of universal accessibility. So they told their software people, they told their hardware people, they said, try to make our phones usable to the maximum number of people right out of the box without having to add anything or change them or buy anything. So they built accessibility into them. With the iPhone, you can zoom in on things and make them bigger, change fonts, things like that. It also has a screen reader on it that will read everything to you. It basically reads everything on the phone. So you've got zooming in, making things bigger, reading, all of those things like that. Reading it out loud to you. And the other thing, because Apple is tight-fisted with their products, only they make iPhones. So I can say 100% certain that an iPhone will work a certain way. The Android phones do have some of those features, but because there are so many manufacturers, Motorola, Samsung, things like that, they all can tend to be a little bit different. So it's a little harder to know for sure how they're going to work. So an iPhone is a very, very good option for somebody who does not see well. And like I said, you don't have to buy the most expensive one. You can get an older model and save some money. So that's a good question. Thank you.
Cindy, do you have any questions? Or does anyone else have any questions for Doug today? Um,
I've got one more. I'm sorry, no panel.
no, go ahead, Ramsey.
You you talked a little bit about the, the Alexa device. Okay. Um, is are there certain things I I know I've got an Alexa device and use I use it to make phone calls and stuff, but are there certain things on the Alexa device where people with low vision?
The just because those devices are made to be talked to, just using normal language, you don't have to learn any special commands or anything. You can just almost ask it anything you want, right, for information. So that in itself, the fact that you talk to it and then it talks back using voice makes it good for somebody with low vision. So some things, like I said, that are very handy for somebody who doesn't see well is setting a timer or setting an alarm, asking what time is it, things like that. If you get, say, like a smart TV that has that built into it, then you don't even always have to use, the guide and have to see what's on the screen. You can just say, so-and-so turn on CBS, or so-and-so play this movie on Netflix, things like that. So all of that is useful for someone with vision loss, just because you don't have to try to see a screen and do things like that. You can just, if you don't see well, hopefully you still have hearing good enough that you can hear what it says to you, and you're able to talk to it and ask it questions or tell it to do things. So yeah, it's a good one, Ramsey.
It looks like you have very good resources, Doug.
Mhm.
Like, for instance, if someone is like at home and they can't get to their iris consultant, or they cannot get to their case manager, okay? Do you
Okay.
have plain language materials, or how does that go about if someone, like if they call you, okay, and they
Okay.
don't have any assistance and they're just like, I'm lost? Do you have like step-by-step programs or instructions to?
Well, yeah,
Go ahead.
we work with people one-on-one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
Alright.
if somebody was to call and tell me that they were having some trouble um, doing some daily living things, they're having, because their eyes are not as good as they used to be. If they tell me that, they can't see well enough to use their microwave, or they can't see their computer screen anymore, then I would work with that person, or one of my coworkers. We would work with that person one-on-one, and just, step by step, right in their home, go through the process. To do this is how we're going to do it. And because we are working right there with the person, whatever they need, as far as, like you said, plain language, easy to understand instructions, that's what we would try to do.
Okay.
So we don't really send out a lot of information printed or things like that. We
Okay.
work right face to face with people, and work with them the way they like to work.
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you have like audio or like I know you said that you don't sell information, but is
Mhm.
there some kind of guide to make sure that the individual understands what's going on, like in case they get off meetings with you or in case before the meeting? Do you have any areas where you can like help them prepare for their first meeting, or do you just go right into it?
We don't have anything like that.
Okay.
Again, we start with a phone call
Okay.
with you or a helper, or sometimes I get a phone call from a family member. But with that phone call, we talk about maybe a little bit about what the meeting might be like. I know for me personally, all I need is a name, a phone number, and an address. And
Okay.
I don't ask for a lot of detailed information until I get to the person's house. And then I just start with them from zero, right? I don't know them, and then we just start asking questions and having a conversation. And I just try to then learn from them what is hard, what, because your eyesight is not good anymore. What parts of life are hard, and what would you like to still be able to do? So that I'm not going to ask them, to give me anything formal. I don't need to see a driver's license or an ID.
Okay.
I don't need to see a doctor's report. I just want to talk to that person. I just want to meet them and sit with them and then have a conversation about where I might be able to help.
Oh,
So
so
I think the
it's a
only preparation that's needed is, like I said, we need to have some goals in mind. So
Okay.
it's very hard for me to go to someone's house and they say, I can't see anymore. What can I do? That I can't answer, right? My response would have to be, well, what do you want to do? And then go from there.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't really have anything like prepared like that, but
Okay.
I don't think, I would hope that meeting with someone like me or one of my coworkers is not a difficult process.
No.
Yeah.
And as people of First Wisconsin, we try to prepare people for
Okay.
meetings like that. And
All right.
that's how and Cindy can speak if she wants to, but we try to make sure that people are at the table and making sure that they have a voice
Yeah,
and
exactly.
making sure that they don't come like if they're meeting you for the first time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That they can understand you and they're not shocked by the process or anything. So
Right.
they don't
Yeah.
have any. So that's why I was just trying to get around that point. So sorry
Okay.
if I'm
Yeah.
taking them carousel.
No, that's okay. And I think if a person prefers to have like a family member or a friend or an advocate of some kind with them at that first meeting, that of course is okay. A lot of times it's very helpful to have a second person there to hear the
Yes.
information and just kind of sit in and listen. So yeah, that's always okay.
Well, thank you so much, Doug. Does
You're welcome.
anyone have any other questions for Doug before he leaves today? Well, thank you, Doug, for coming today.
Oh, you're
Your
welcome, and thank
presentation,
you. Thank you all for your.
was wonderful. I took tons of notes, and I
Okay.
will send those off to the people who are on this call.
All right.
And
Thank you all for listening. It was nice meeting you all, and I will certainly say hi to Ann Stevert for you all and tell her you said hi, okay?
thank you again, Doug.
All right.